Good afternoon. I would like to welcome everyone today to today's event. Today is a very exciting day for East Boston and the city of Boston. As the East Boston liaison, I get to hear from residents on a daily basis of how excited they are about seeing the parks renovated, community centers being built, and business districts being improved. As someone that came to East Boston about 20 years ago, I've seen the change, a change that I love and I appreciate. This change wouldn't be possible without a good capital investment. Bienvenidos todos hoy a East Boston. Hoy es un día muy importante para todos. Como residente y como el enlace del alcalde, quiero que le den las gracias a todas las inversiones que se están haciendo hoy acá en East Boston. Now, I would like to welcome our Mayor Marty Walsh.
Thank you very much, Claudia, and thank you for that great introduction. I want to thank everyone who's here today. This is the first time we've done something like this in the city, or at least the first time in the last 30 years. Generally, what happens when you announce a budget, everything's wrapped together, and in this case, we tried to do something a little different, try to bring the capital to the community. We unveiled our budget last week in City Hall, which I'll talk briefly about, and today we're unveiling our capital piece of this. I'd like to thank the elected officials that are here with us today. I want to thank Senator Joe Boncory and State Representative Madaro for their support and being here today, and I know that next 2 weeks from now they go into their own budget deliberations. I want to thank City Councilor Matt O'Malley, who's with us today, and other councilors would have been here. I know there's some hearings going on today, so I want to just pass that along. I want to thank Councilor O'Malley, who will begin the budget process now in the City Council. I want to make a special mention to Councilor Salamartina, who announced on Wednesday that he will not be seeking re-election. I want to thank Sal for his friendship, but most importantly, I want to thank Sal for his dedication and commitment to his district. He's been a great city councilor, and he's been part of leading the change in a lot of different ways. And I know that he doesn't just represent East Boston, he represents other parts of North End and Charlestown. But I know his home is here in Eastie, and I know the investments that are in this budget, but in the past budget, have Sal's fingerprints all over them. So, Councilor, I'd like to say thank you, and thank you for bringing us to East Boston. And I also want to thank everyone who worked on this budget. I want to thank Dave Sweeney and Katie Hammer. I want to thank all of the budget team. A lot of them are here today. Thank you for being part of this. I also want to thank Max Gunner from East Boston Main Street and Coach David Arella from the Parish Street Community Center down the street, which we've made some large investments over the last couple of years. I'm proud to present this year's capital budget of $2.8 billion. Capital fiscal plan for 2018 through 2022. 8 days ago, we presented our fiscal budget, $3.14 billion operating budget to the City Council. It builds on 3 years of smart, responsible, and sustainable fiscal strategy. It touches all of our neighborhoods in the city of Boston, making important investments for our students, public safety, and more. That's our budget we unveiled last week. And during these uncertain political times in our country, this budget positions Boston to manage through instability at a national level. Today, we're excited to launch our second part of that budget, our capital plan. This plan is a little different than in the last few years. It directly reflects the feedback we received from thousands of residents who contributed through the planning process here in the city. Like I said during the release last week of our operating budget, our historic planning process changes the conversation on capital investment. The majority of these investments can be traced back to a resident who had an idea or how to make our city more vibrant and better. We take our residents' feedback very seriously. It's how we invest and reflect their commitment in our city. Boston is a city with a plan, and in fact, we have many. Since I took office 3 years ago, we worked together on a planning process which focused on every aspect of life in Boston. And these plans all work hand in hand. A housing plan to build 53,000 units of new housing by the year 2030 of all different income levels, so that everyone has a place in our city to call their home. An arts and culture plan that supports artists, invests in facilities, performance spaces, and increases public arts in our neighborhoods. A transportation plan to reduce street crashes and make better accommodate a city on the move, making our city safer and more accessible for all. A climate action plan to support a healthier and more resilient city as we work to mitigate climate change and its effect on our communities and the waterfront. And a historic investment in our Boston Public Schools through our Build BPS plan, which doubles capital spending on BPS facilities over the next decades and leverages our partnerships with the Massachusetts School Building Authority to build new schools and make other critical repairs. What all these plans have in common is they come together in a single citywide planning process called Imagine Boston 2030. This is Boston's first citywide plan in over 50 years. And as this budget proves, Imagine Boston is more than just another plan. Imagine Boston is the first city plan in over a generation that has been shaped by so much direct resident input. And we've talked to thousands of Bostonians in person, online, and through community meetings and more. Imagine Boston is a vision of what kind of city we want to be. It signals key areas of emphasis to the vitality of our neighborhoods and connects people to opportunities. This capital plan will drive these ideas into reality. It will help make sure that Boston's Imagine Boston 2030 doesn't just sit on the shelf, but these initiatives live in all of our neighborhoods throughout the city. We're able to make this investment because we're drawing on more than our typical capital resources. For example, we're leveraging one-time funding sources such as proceeds from the Winthrop Square garage sale. Those funds will help us invest in Franklin Park and revitalize Boston Common, America's oldest park. It's going to allow us the opportunity to invest in housing here in East Boston, Orient Heights, and in South Boston, Old Colony. In a city where 97% of our residents live within 10-minute walk distance to a park, we know the vibrant open space are key to a strong, healthy community, whether that's living in public housing or just living in your neighborhood, making sure that we have public open space so you can see the tie there. Neighborhoods across the city benefit from major investments in this plan. We're upgrading Central Square right here today, where we are today. We're working on walking paths along Jamaica Pond and Jamaica Plain. We're improving roadways along Whittier Street, development in Roxbury. We're launching a major renovation at BCYF's Curley Center in South Boston. We're expanding the Elliott School in the North Bennett Street and Commercial Street schools in the North End. We're also renovating the second floor of the Woods Mullen Shelter in the South End. That's for our shelter for women, for homeless women, making sure they can live with dignity and live in a place that they can call their home until we're able to get them back on their feet. We're beginning to make a major park renovations in Hammurabi Park in Dorchester and near Mattapian based on a community-led process. And there's more initiatives like these in all of our neighborhoods. And we're making sure that every single one of these investments reach every single community and every single resident in our city. I want to highlight a few more historic investments that this year's capital plan makes. For the first time, we are going to be incorporating our Percent for the Arts program in our capital plan. By putting aside 1% of our annual capital borrowing, we'll invest $1.7 million in public art projects in fiscal 2018. By leveraging the city, state, and federal funding, we're investing over $709 million over the next 5 years to fulfill our transportation and Vision Zero goals. We're also bringing fast broadband internet access to the Boston Public Schools, family public housing developments, and city buildings. That's going to provide all opportunities for all of our residents to get connected to the latest technology. I could go on and on and on about this budget, what's in this budget, but I invite you all to explore it yourself. You can read about this budget, both the operating and the capital, if you go to our website, budget.boston.gov. Once again, I want to stress all these capital investments wouldn't be made possible without the input from thousands of Bostonians across our city, and also the taxpayers in our city, the homeowners in our city, and the business owners in our city. Without your investment in our city, we wouldn't be able to do all this incredible investment in our city to continue to make our city the best city in the world. I want to thank you for letting us be your voice be heard and for helping us build a stronger and better Boston. Now I'm going to ask Chief Chris Osgood, to speak more about the investments we're making in our new capital plan and construction on transportation, and we have a few other speakers after that.
Thanks so much, Mayor. It's a wonderful day to be in East Boston. Great day to be in Central Square. I love that line the mayor just said, that we're bringing the capital plan to the community. It is incredibly fitting because, honestly, the capital plan really came from the community in the first place. About a month ago, Mayor Walsh announced Go Boston 2030. That's the city's long-term mobility plan that was really drafted by Commissioner Gina Fiandaca and her team in the Boston Transportation Department. As we were building that plan, we went out and said, what are the ideas, the projects, the policies we should be advancing as a city? And then we had the public vote on them. And the number one item that residents wanted, the number one thing that people voted for, was they wanted great pedestrian-friendly and bike-friendly main streets. Projects like the one we're delivering right here in Central Square. And through this budget, we're not only able to complete the work in Central Square, we're also able to break ground on Audubon Circle in the Fenway. We're able to break ground on North Square in the North End, Hyde Square in Jamaica Plain, some intersection work in Dudley Square, sidewalk work up and down Boylston Street in the Back Bay. And more importantly, there's a long-term funding commitment to actually systematically improve main streets throughout the entire city of Boston, to really work in concert with John Barros and the entire economic development shop to really bring greater vibrancy to these main street districts and support the great residential and retail experience that's happening there already. The two other big things we heard from our residents as we went out and did the Go Boston 2030 planning process is they want our streets to be safer, particularly for pedestrians and for cyclists, and they want our entire transportation network to be much more reliable, particularly for folks who are driving or who are on buses. And through this plan, through this budget, we're really delivering on both those things. As the mayor mentioned, one of the things that's in this capital plan is a long-term commitment to bring all of our pavement markings, our crosswalks, our center lines, our bike lanes up to a state of good repair. Too often, in too many places in our city, those lane markings are too faded. We know that a very clear stop line, a very visible crosswalk will make a big difference and help all of our streets be safer for everybody. This plan invests in that. This plan also invests in a number of Vision Zero interventions. Vision Zero is an international effort to eliminate roadway fatalities on city streets. We've been investing in this for over a year now. The mayor announced this initiative about a year and a half ago. And we've been making quick, critical investments in places like the Mass Ave Corridor in Back Bay and Codman Square, and in residential areas like the Talbot-Norfolk Triangle and Stony Brook in Jamaica Plain. These are the sort of things that calm speeds, that reduce crashes, that save lives. These are some of the things that are really, really important to our residents, to our councilors. They've been very clear about this, and this budget continues to invest in exactly that. We also know that there's a huge opportunity for us to invest in the next generation of traffic signal technology. As the mayor mentioned in his State of the City address, it is not an infrequent occurrence for a number of people who are sitting on a bus or sitting in a car to wonder why they are perhaps unnecessarily idling at a red light. That next generation of traffic signal technology is something we're exploring with MassDOT right now to see how we can actually put signals on our streets that actually adapt to the ebb and flow of everyday traffic and don't have to be retimed every year or every 3 years across our city. We also know that there's a series of major sort of transformative investments that we can make in our city that really support the great long-term planning work that the mayor mentioned with Imagine Boston that is being led by folks like our Chief of Planning, Sarah Meyerson, and the person leading Imagine Boston, Rebecca Emanuel. These are things like the work we're doing in Charlestown, where we're going to be systematically investing in a number of the key pieces of critical infrastructure that form really the transportation spine from Everett to downtown Boston. So we've already invested in the Alfred Street Bridge. Next up is some design work that Jim Galuli, our Deputy Commissioner in the Transportation Department, is working on in Sullivan Square and Rutherford Ave. And a piece of work that we will be taking to bid this year, which is the reconstruction of a redesigned North Washington Street Bridge. Each of those things, the Alfred Street Bridge, Sullivan Square, Rutherford Ave, the North Washington Street Bridge, will form a complete connection from the Everett border to downtown Boston and connecting with some existing work we're doing downtown. And the final bit sort of transformational work that I wanted to highlight was some great collaborative work around the Whittier Street development, as the mayor mentioned. We were fortunate through the work of our Chief of Housing, Sheila Dillon, and the work of Bill McGonigal, to receive a grant from the federal government to really improve the Whittier Street development through the Choice Neighborhood Program. We will be investing in almost every single street around that development so that we are working together and investing in our streets as we're investing in our housing to make sure that there's a complete neighborhood transformation and really connect everybody in that neighborhood with the great opportunities throughout this entire region. And that's something the mayor made very clear to all of us in his cabinet as we were building this budget, which was we should not be thinking about each of our work in silos, but that we should be working together to actually deliver on the aspirations that our residents have for the city. And that's also very true about the place we're standing in right now, which has been an incredible cross-departmental, cross-cabinet collaboration with folks like Charlotte Fleetwood from the Transportation Department, who led the planning and design, some folks from Para's shop, Parajai Singh's shop, who led the engineering, John Vazella, who's been leading the construction management. Great work from Boston Water and Sewer and Kate England to put first of its kind for us, a green infrastructure into this project, and some great work by Austin Blackman, Chris Cook, Katie Baker, Eclipse, who've been leading the actual park work behind us. And all of that work together is going to deliver a really terrific project in East Boston. And it's just one of those projects we couldn't have done without great collaboration from the community. And so in all of our projects, as we look to do good work with the community, we always look for great partners. And I'm very pleased to introduce a great partner that we have in East Boston, somebody who's been a great sort of advisor and advocate for a number of things here, and that's Coach Dave Arenella. So, Dave, welcome.
Thank you, Chris. Good afternoon to everybody. Thank you all for being here. My name is Dave Arenella. I'm a member of the East Boston Athletic Board, the East Boston Foundation, and I've been coaching swimming at East Boston High for about 40 years now. And a group of my friends got together and thought it was a good idea that I speak today, and I hope I don't let anybody down. I'm also a proud graduate of the class of 1970 at East Boston High School, what we like to think is the best class ever at Eastie. First of all, let me thank the Mayor of Boston, Marty Walsh, and his staff for this opportunity for me to say a few words about our sense of excitement as we usher in a new age in East Boston with this latest round of capital improvements in our community. These projects include the renovation of Central Square, we're right here, the renovation of Paris Street Gym, ongoing, and in the near future, the renovation of Paris Street Pool, which is going to make me real happy, too. We will also have the Cuneo Park renovation soon, and we are currently in the community process for the beautification of Noyes Park at Orient Heights. The community process is also underway for the relocation and modernization of our police station here in East Boston. Then there's those energy-friendly windows being installed at East Boston High School. And speaking of East Boston High School, we have a lot to be thankful for, and as much as that, our headmaster, Phil Brangiaforti, who is present, we consider him, and I consider him to be the hardest working headmaster in Boston, and he has brought our high school into the forefront of higher education in the entire city. None of us have to be told that East Boston cannot flourish without a dedicated commitment to our seniors and our youth, as well as all of our residents. And the preservation of open space in our parks and squares is necessary, Mr. Mayor, and it's much appreciated. And we all here want to give a shout out to Mayor Walsh for not forgetting us on this side of the water, and for making East Boston more than just viable. It's now HD, and HD is not high def, it's highly desirable. These improvements to our landscape will go a long way towards an improving quality of life in East Boston. I am confident, along with all my friends and neighbors, that we can achieve the balance we need here in East Boston between development and neighborhood stability. This is a goal of Mayor Walsh's administration, and these projects are just one more step towards the realization of that goal. I would be remiss if I didn't recognize and thank State Senator Joe Boncore, State Representative Adrian Madaro, and City Councilor Sal Martina and City Councilor Matt O'Malley. And I also want to thank Captain McCormick, who's represented by Sarge here today. And in closing, again, I want to thank Mayor Walsh for letting me have these few words about what I feel is the dawn of a new era in East Boston, an era with a bright and promising future, in a sense that we can all be safe and secure with each other as we move forward. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, everybody.
In addition to having the participation of our good residents and leaders in our community, also it's very important to remember that all of these things will be done with good partners and organizations. I would like to welcome Max Gruner, who is our East Boston Main Streets Director. Max.
Thank you, Mayor Walsh. Welcome to East Boston to everybody. My name is Max Gruner. I'm the Executive Director of East Boston Main Streets. Eastie, huh? What a neighborhood. So I'll tell you a couple of secrets. We have the most beautiful waterfront anywhere in the city. Absolutely. We have some of the most beautiful greenways and parks anywhere in the city. And this is really important for you guys. We have some of the best food and the best restaurants anywhere in the city. And the reason why that is important for you guys is after this event today, don't leave. Stay here, eat. But you know what makes this community really special are its people. This is a truly diverse community. People from all over the world. And this truly is a community of neighbors. And I would like to take this opportunity to give a shout out to one of East Boston's favorite sons, our city councilor, my friend and mentor, Zella Martina. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much for the decades of service, hard work, dedication, and commitment to this community. East Boston would not be HD if it weren't for Sal. So Sal, thank you. The mayor spoke about Imagine Boston 2030. Now, if your life is anything like my life, we're really busy. We run from crisis to crisis, we attend to one urgent thing after the other, and we never have the time and we never give ourselves permission to take a step back and to think and to imagine the future. Under the mayor's leadership, I've had the great opportunity of doing just that on two separate occasions. One with the city's small business plan, and one with Imagine Boston 2030. As a matter of fact, I was able to co-host two community meetings for Imagine Boston 2030 right here at the East Boston Social Center. I want to give a shout out to John Kelly, its Executive Director of 33 years. You know, these Imagine Boston 2030 community meetings are truly spectacular. You have people from the communities, you have neighbors, people of all ages, people of all backgrounds, socioeconomic backgrounds, ethnic backgrounds, coming together to talk with one another, to dialogue, to converse about real issues that affect real people, whether it be transportation, whether it be housing, whether it be infrastructure, whether it be climate change resilience and sea level change. Absolutely amazing. The energy, the knowledge, the experience of those people in these rooms, remarkable. I want to very explicitly thank the mayor for all of his investment in our city and in our neighborhood. We are here at Central Square, and I've been told it's the largest, maybe one of the largest, urban park renovations in the city of Boston. This park is going to be incredible. It's going to be beautiful. It's going to be activated by this community. I would be remiss not to take a moment to ask you to look around at all of the small businesses we have on the periphery here of Central Park, of Central Square. We know that it's been difficult to these small and micro businesses. Disruptions in traffic, disruptions in parking, disruptions in pedestrian flow. This is really tough on our small business community. And I want to thank our small business community in East Boston. I want to thank the Chamber. I want to thank the Merchant Association for all the work and effort you have put in sustaining our small businesses. And I want to thank the small business owners for their courage, for their stick-to-itness, and particularly for their patience and good humor. We at Main Streets, and under John Barris's leadership, the Boston City's Office of Economic development. We are absolutely dedicated and committed to providing all supports and services that we are able to support our small and micro businesses in this city. One thing that's really special, one thing that really excites me about this project here at the park is it marries our proud history, the celebration of our vets through the Veterans Memorial that will be proudly displayed here in the park, with a forward-looking vision of what a modern urban green space can look like. Beautiful, open, safe, and sustainable. Absolutely incredible. And this is just one of the many examples of all of the projects that are currently going on in every corner of Boston. What an exciting time. So I thank you all for being here. Thank you, Mayor Walsh. Thank you for the other elected officials who are here today. It truly, truly is appreciated. Thank you. And of course, a man who needs no further introduction, our City Councilor, Sal Lamartina.
I have a speech, but Dave Ironella gave it. Thank you, David. Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you, Mayor. Thank you for being here, and welcome again to all. Welcome to the new Central Square. I want to thank my colleagues, Matt O'Malley. Thank you for coming to East Boston, the other side of the tunnel, and of course the Senator Boncory and Representative Agent Madaro. Mayor, I'm excited for you to be here in East Boston to release your fiscal year 2018 to 2022 budget. For me, whenever the mayor releases the capital budget, it always feels like Christmas because it's always loaded with some goodies for my entire district. And you are continuing to give me some good presents for my district, and for that, Mayor, I thank you. As I was examining the capital budget yesterday, and I was amazed to look at all the money that has been spent and will be spent in the future years. We are standing here in Central Square, looking out at this beautiful site for the future state-of-the-art park, which the mayor generously spent over $8 million. And because of the community process, they kept on adding more things to the budget, and the mayor said yes. So, Mayor, thank you. When you look around East Boston, the Parish Street Recreation Center, wait till you see that when that's going to be completed. And that's $12 million in just renovations. It's going to be a state-of-the-art facility with a new teen center, a computer lab, a new gym without the track. So now you're going to really have a basketball game. And all new equipment. So I'm really excited about that. But like as Dave mentioned in my speech, once that's completed, right, the pool's going to close in the fall. And there's going to be a $5 million investment in that pool. That pool's going to be an indoor-outdoor pool. And I'm just so excited because I used to lifeguard at that pool many years ago and taught swimming with David and many years ago. Huh, David? I can't believe it's like 30 years. What happened? But I was younger in those days. But also, there's other things happening. Clean Park, which is going to get, is under construction right now. They're working on that park. Noise Park, $3 million in Noise Park. Great. And this is only East Boston, but the mayor's doing this all over the city. And again, thank you, Mayor, for the things that you're doing in Charlestown, the North End. I know I've been very spoiled in this budget, but I look at the improvements of the parks in Charlestown, absolutely beautiful with Harvard Mall and the training field. And then, as the chief mentioned about the money that the city's going to invest in Rutherford Avenue and Sullivan Square. It's going to make a big difference in Charlestown. And then in the North End, the historic Paul Revere Mall, the Prado, some major investments over there. And the mayor last year did me another favor. He put $100,000 to do a study, so hopefully one day we'll have a new recreation center in the North End. And so I'm really grateful. But as you look at that, the budget, here's $25 million for a new public works yard, EMS, and police station. Now let me tell you about that. 30 years. That was one of the first projects that we talked about when I was working in neighborhood services for Ray Flynn. And the mayor told me he's going to get it done. So, Mayor, thank you. I really appreciate that. And again, that really is that his commitment to this neighborhood and to the city. But as I look at his budget, the mayor is committed $1 billion for our schools. I went to school right around the corner, down to Allegheny, to the Lyman schools. Our schools are old. And the mayor, thank you for committing this money. And it's a big commitment for the whole city of Boston to really invest in our schools, to make sure that we have the best school system in the country. So, Mayor, thank you again on behalf of all the people in Boston. I really appreciate it. So, as you know, the budget needs to be approved by the City Council. The Committee on Ways and Means Chair is chaired by Councilor Siomo. I'm the vice chair. And so over the next few weeks, we will have hearings where all the department heads will come in front of the City Council and tell us what they're doing with their budget and what they want to do. So I look forward to that. Dave Sweeney, we'll be working very closely with Dave Sweeney for the next 2 months, going over the budget. And so for that, I am confident that the City Council will really examine both the operational and the capital budget in great detail, and that we will reach an agreement before July 1st. So with that, I want to take this opportunity to thank Santa Claus for spoiling my district, and Mayor, thank you for the work you're doing. You're doing a great job for the city of Boston, and I appreciate it. And thank you all for giving me the opportunity, really, to serve you. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. I want to just make one correction. I said the capital budget was $2.8 billion. It's $2.080 billion, just for the press, so you get it right. And the second thing is, we thought this was a good idea coming out to communities, but after Sal was talking, Matt O'Malley was taking notes. I don't know if it's such a good idea anymore. It was better we keep it quiet. No, I'm only kidding. It's a great. And I again want to, before I take questions, I want to thank Councilman Lamattina, who's and we'll have plenty of time to do that, but dedicated a large portion of his life to public service. He was elected a small portion of that, but he started in the city under Mayor Flynn, worked under Mayor Menino, ran for city council, so he served all different levels of government. So I want to thank him for that. Any questions?
Some of these projects, I know I haven't seen all of them yet, but are somewhat dependent on federal funds, whether it's park transportation or perhaps not.
Yeah, the transportation money's there. It's allocated. It's already there. Yeah, it was allocated by the Congress and the Senate. Not to cut you off, sorry. It was allocated by the Congress and the Senate. In order for the president to take that funds away, he would have to go defy what the Congress and Senate directed that money towards. So I don't believe he has the ability to divert that money in any way, any shape or form, because it was mandated by the Congress and Senate, like we do here in the legislature. When the House and the Senate vote on a budget, the governor has the 9C powers to cut some of that funding if need be, but the legislature has the opportunity to override that money as well. So there's no ability here to take that money away.
The Winthrop Square money that's coming in and being dedicated, I know there's still some questions on that project. How do you guys feel about that money coming in? Is it certain?
Well, if it doesn't happen, it doesn't come in. I mean, it's that simple. If the building gets sold and we're able to work through the city council and legislature and on the governor's desk, then it's worth $152 million to the city of Boston for one-time projects, plus $12 to $15 million a year in taxes, which is 70% of our budget is based on real estate tax. But we're working through a process now. We've been. You wouldn't be able to find that type of money at that quickness of a pace. We'd be able to build it in over a 5-year period. We're looking at the reason why we chose those projects was that Boston Common is directly affected by it. It hasn't had a major investment probably since the beginning of time. Franklin Park's another one. It's in the center of our city, and we've been kind of piecemealing, $1 million here, $5 million there. This is an opportunity to get some serious money in there. Orient Heights Housing Development, that just started construction this year. There's one last phase of that left to go. And some of the money we use towards Winter Square would go. It makes sense to use towards Orient Heights because now we 100% renovate it. And Old Colony Housing Development in South Boston has about $25 million left to be renovated. So that would allow us the opportunity as we embark on other plans in Charlestown, Bromley, Heath, and other places, we will be able to finish those completely. So hopefully we'll see what happens. I mean, I think we have a little way to go. There's some concern. I mean, we have to work with the legislature, city council first, then the legislature, and then the governor.
Can you expand at all on the $1 billion investment in Boston Public Schools and where that money is going to go specifically and the kind of impact it can make?
It's going to make a huge impact. Obviously, we have not had any type of major renovations and reconstruction of schools in our city like this in decades and generations of young people. The money is going to $750 million comes from our ability to borrow because of our strong fiscal rating. $250 million is going to come from the School Building Authority. The plan's going to really be generated through the communities. We're going out into the communities starting, I think, sometime in the next several weeks to talk in different neighborhoods about what they want to see as far as renovations and things like that in the neighborhoods. I use the example of the Dearborn School in Roxbury. When that was being renovated, it was a grade 6 to 8 being renovated. After the community got involved in the process, it became a 6 to 12 school in our community. So we're going to be going through different neighborhoods. For example, East Boston has some great schools here. There's really a lack of, in some cases, there's a lack of enough 6th, 7th, and 8th grade seats in Eastie to be able to keep the kids in East Boston that want to go into the high school. So East Boston would sit down at the table and talk about what schools they want to renovate and where we want to go. Maybe building a new school in East Boston. Maybe look at doing something completely different than what's here today. Maybe taking all the schools and say, okay, we want 2 big schools. We want a K to 6 and a 7 to 12. I mean, who knows? Whatever the community comes out of that, that's what we're going to be talking about. We'll begin allocating that money in this year's budget, and then we'll start. We're going to be doing renovations, and we'll really start to see these plans come out next year. Anything else? I want to thank again. I just want to thank all of the budget team that's here today. Thank you for your work. I want to thank all the nonprofits in East Boston that are here. Thank you for what you do every single day. And I want to thank the residents of East Boston. Thank you for allowing us the opportunity to be here today. It's the first time we've ever done this. I think it was a success. East Boston is a great community. It's a great neighborhood. We love it. Thank you, and thank you all the elected officials.